This week, this video is going to be an emotional one. Actually wasn't too sure how I was gonna do this, but I decided to do it anyway. Wow, I'm even emotional and I haven't even started. Wow. Hi guys. I don't know if I was gonna do this today. I was actually contemplating whether I should do it or not, because this week's picture story is quite an emotional one. And I was contemplating, what should I do for picture story this week? What should I do for picture story this week? And I might as well talk about this, because every time I meet someone or I talk to new people and make friends with them, I always bring up this topic, and I said, you know, why not? Let me just share it here, and I'll get right to it. Today's picture is a picture of my grandma, and I'm not gonna apologize, so I might get emotional. I'm actually starting to tear up. I might get emotional about this, but yeah, I'm an emotional wreck nowadays. But yeah, so 5 years ago, my grandma passed away. Wow. Hold on a minute, let me get a piece of tissue because I can't keep wiping my face. Just give me 1 sec. Wow. Okay, yeah. Got my tissue ready. I suggest you grab yours. So yeah, 5 years ago my grandma passed away, and this was in 2013. So where do I begin? Okay, this story, let me tell you how this picture came about. As some of you may know, I've been living in the UK since 2000, the year 2000. And I went back home in 2009. And actually, when I left home, I remember my grandmother telling me at the airport, because she came to see me off, as you do, as Africans do. Back in the day, I don't know about now, but back in the day, a whole throng of your family used to take you to the airport and wave you goodbye and wish you all the best in your new journey in the big wide world. But yeah, my grandmother's at the airport, and there's one thing she said to me, and to this day it has always stuck. She's like, who will come to see me now that you're gone or you're going? Who will come to be seeing me now that you're going? Because my grandmother and I had a really, really good relationship, where no week would go by that I don't go and see her, because she used to live like literally 10-15 minutes walk from where we lived. So at least once a week I used to go and see her, and it's something my mom always used to do, so it was like a given. Like at least once a week I would normally go and see her. When she used to have her women's group, I used to go and help her cook where I could, and she could tell me stories, and we just chat. And my memory is not really good. I have to be honest, my memory is not the best, but I remember one thing. I used to just go there just to pass time and just be present with her. So when I went back home in 2009, it became like I vowed to myself. It became like a duty, a sense of duty, a sense of pride, a sense of, I don't know what to call it, but yeah, it became like a duty. Like no matter what, even if I don't get to see my friends, even if I don't get to see the rest of my family, no matter what, even if it's for 5 minutes, I made sure that I went to see her. Oh, I remember. Oh my days. And now I remember, and now I remember what happened. Because in 2011, when I went, Kai was what, merely months. And then in 2012, I started uni. Now I remember, now it's coming back. Oh gosh, you see, I told you, my memory. Psh. Now it's coming back. Yeah, I remember I called my mom, and my mom happened to be visiting my grandma. And my mom was all excited. Oh, I've started university and everything, studying photography. And so when I was speaking to my grandma, she was telling me, oh, I'm happy to hear you've gone back to school. What are you studying in school? I was like, and when you speak in vernacular, like in Swahili or Kikuyu, or that's my vernacular language, Kikuyu. When you speak in Swahili, because I used to speak in Swahili a lot with my grandma, but when you speak it to her in Swahili, you just tell her, like, I take pictures. You don't go into details, you just tell her you're studying to take pictures. So as many of you know, the creatives for some of these old folk is the creative, studying for a creative subject is like, they do not get it at all. So when I told her that, I could just sense her picturing me. I don't know how to explain this to an audience who might not understand this, but I could just picture her thinking, one of those, in Kenya we had street photographers, or photographers who used to roam around the estate and taking pictures of people who live in the estates. And for some reason, her silence, I could sense her silence miles away through the phone line, of her picturing me being one of those people, as in I'm studying to be one of those people. That's what I could see. That's what I could sense from her silence when I just told her I'm studying to take pictures, because that's like a direct translation from Swahili, sort of like, yeah, I am studying to take pictures, but that's not what it is. Because I told my mom what it was. My mom could understand, obviously. But when I told my grandma, because she was happy I was going to school, I was studying university level, and it did not make sense. And I just told my mom, listen, Mom, when you get a moment, try and explain to Shosho, that's what I used to call her, try and explain to Shosho what exactly I'm trying to do, because I don't think she gets it. Because you could sense her confusion and sort of disappointment in her voice. Because like, you've gone to university to study to take pictures of people. I had to tell my mom, listen, when you get a moment, try and explain to Shosho what it is exactly I'm doing. But if it doesn't compute, just tell her I'm doing well and leave it at that. In 2013, now going back to what I was saying, in 2013 when we arranged this trip and all of us managed to go. 2013 was actually quite a busy year, I have to say, and I think that's why probably Robert was a bit reluctant with all of us going, because that's the same year I traveled to Russia, and yeah, and we were trying to arrange this whole trip back to Kenya, and we didn't know how long we were going to stay there for. And Robert was also planning to start university that year, so it was just a hectic year. So I visited my grandmother. Like I said, every trip, no excuses. Even if it's for 5 minutes, a minute, I have to visit my grandmother. And this visit was challenging for other reasons, which I won't go into detail here. But yeah, to my grandmother's house this year, I carried my camera, my professional camera, my DSLR, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna really take a portrait of my grandma. I'm gonna take a picture of my grandmother. The picture I've just shown you, I'll put it up again. I'm just gonna take a picture of my grandma, and I wasn't prepared for it really. I didn't know what I was gonna do, how I was gonna photograph her, whether she would accept me photographing her. But in a way, remembering the conversation we had of me explaining what I do in university, I think in a way I just wanted to show her what I was doing, and kind of explain to her this is what I'm trying to achieve with my studies. I don't know. At the time I did not know what I was doing. So, and I was like, I just asked her, if Shosho, can I just take your picture? Can you just sit there and then I take your picture? And she was like, yeah, go ahead. Funny enough, weirdly enough, she was like, yeah. And we did this whole mini photo shoot, just her there, the way I found her, just sitting on her stool outside. I used the wall as the backdrop. I was nervous for some weird reason because I've never done it before. And it's really funny because now that I'm doing an MA, story for another day, now that I'm doing an MA, something came up in class about the difficulty it comes to photographing your own family. Like, I don't know, there's something about it which I don't want to go into much detail, but yeah, I think I found it really difficult photographing her. I don't know why. So I was telling her to look at the camera, look away from the camera, just look straight ahead, trying to direct your family when it comes to portraiture, and trying to get them in that photo. Because when you chimp and you look back, you're like, am I getting it? Am I not getting it, or what? But you know what? It reached a point where I was like, okay, that's enough. So we just take, I kind of set it up where we take group photos, and I took a photo of my mom and Kai and my grandma, and we had like a mini photo session, and then it was done. We just did our visiting, and I said my goodbyes, and I can't remember if, yeah, I did go back to see my grandmother because there's an incident that happened. I had to go back and apologize. Shosho, I hope when you're up there you forgive me. She did forgive me on the day, but yeah, because I think that's the only time, I don't know why I'm bringing it up, but that's the only time she's ever really in the history of me being alive and knowing her, that's the only time I remember her really upset with me, and it really struck me down my soul. And yeah, and I'm glad I really, not that I wouldn't have, but I'm glad that I really went back to apologize to her and for upsetting her. But I won't tell you what it is. My family knows what it is. So yeah, anyway, and I came back to London. The universe has this weird way of telling you to act on something, and I think this is one of those days it was talking to me loud and clear, and I'm glad I listened, because this was when we visited my grandma. This was in summertime, around summer in the UK. It was around July. Yeah, it was around July. And I came back. I left Robert and Kai in Kenya. They visited my grandmother again, and they came back literally, like, they stayed for a while. They stayed for almost 3 months in Kenya. And then Robert had to come back and he had to start uni. Oh, and then all of a sudden in November, my grandmother said her final goodbye, and she went to be with her sister. Funny, it's not funny, but funny that they actually died on the same month. My great aunt died, I think, a year or two before, around the same time. So yeah, so that November I had to literally go back to Kenya to say my goodbyes to my grandmother. So yeah, today's picture story is really emotional, and I'm sorry if I made you cry, But yeah, today's picture day is very emotional, especially this week, because yeah, I just remembered 5 years ago is when I went back to Kenya to say goodbye to my grandma, and to support my mom as well. One of the pictures that I took on my visit is what we used during her funeral and on the program. And yeah, so this picture for me is really, really special. It's a really special picture because I always say it, and I'll always say it's technically the first and last professional picture I took of my grandmother. It kind of solidifies the reason why I do this. Yeah, the reason why I do photography and why I study it. It makes me, I think, it makes me understand photography more for what it is and what it can become and what it can do. For me, it's about memory, the archive, yeah, storytelling. Because without this picture, I wouldn't have shared all of this with you. I found this poem, it's on my Facebook, and a picture I posted on the day my grandmother passed, and it's a poem I actually read at her funeral. I found it. I found it moving. I found it. I don't know who wrote it because it didn't have a title on who wrote it, and I just read it on her on the day of her funeral, in where she was buried, as in the countryside. For me, I did not care whether they get it or they don't get it. For me, it was just something that I had to do as a way of speaking on, as my own farewell to my grandmother, because I loved her so much. I still do, and I miss her. So I'm gonna read this poem. So go and run free with the angels, dance around the golden clouds, for the Lord has chosen you to be with him, and we should feel nothing but proud. Although he has taken you from us, and our pain a lifetime will last, your memory will never escape us, but make us glad for the time we have. Your face will always be hidden deep inside our hearts. Each precious moment you give us shall never ever depart. So go and run free with the angels as they sing so tenderly, and please be sure to tell them to take good care of you for me. Rest well, Shosho. We miss you and we love you, and we'll see you in the next life.